Hey YouTube, it's Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. In this edition, we're actually going to talk about, by request, 10 things. Well, the actual request was do a video on things that I wish, or advice I wish I could have gotten before I became a nurse. And so what I'm going to do is tell you 10 things that I wish I had have known prior to becoming a nurse, about how nursing is. So if you want to see the 10 things that I wish I had known, wish somebody had shared with me, someone had guided me before even coming into nursing to say, okay, this is what it's going to be like, then if you want to see what that is, then definitely stay tuned. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Marita P. I'm a registered nurse, been a nurse for 17 years. OBGYN is my specialty. Well Baby Nursery is also my specialty. I am a nurse educator, a teacher at a HBCU, and I am doctorally prepared. Now, this video was done, or is being done by request, and basically the viewer wanted to know, or wanted me to do a video on some things that I wish I had have known. Let me adjust this real quick. Some things that I wish I had have known prior to becoming a registered nurse. So I wish someone could have took me to by the side and say, hey, think about this, or just know this in advance. That's what this video is about. So if you, again, want to see, you have to stay tuned. Also, before I continue with this video, I want to let you know that I do go live now every week. The days does vary, usually a Friday or a Saturday, but the day does vary in which I go live. And I basically talk about anything nursing or whatever. I have videos on various topics, so it's fair game. Everything is fair game. So please join us live. Watch the community tab so you will see when I post that I'm going live for the weekly live sessions that I do. Typically, I'm on for about an hour and a half, and we just talk about anything nursing, my relationship issues, just pretty much anything. So anyway, so let's go ahead and get back into what I need to talk about for this video. All right, so the first thing, and this may be a long video because of the fact that, again, I'm going to tell you what the 10 things are, but I'm going to also explain to you why, you know, now that I'm in the profession, now what I see, and I wish someone had told me that prior to. Now, would it have changed my mind? Who I don't know. You know, actually stay tuned for a video that I'm actually going to do that says, would I recommend this profession? Would I still recommend this profession now that I've been doing it for so long? So watch that video and you'll know what I mean. All right. So number one, and again, this is in no particular order. So I have 10 of them, but they're not ranked or anything like that. This is just where they are. Number one. So I wish someone had told me that healthcare is not, and I have notes, so I'm reading. Healthcare is not a primary focus in healthcare. So you're like, what does that mean? Why is it not a primary focus? It's not. Healthcare itself is not primary. It may be even secondary or tertiary. It's a business first. So it's all about money. And I don't think I realized that coming into nursing, that really, of course, our job as nurses is to help and take care of people and get them better, get them back to baseline or whatever we need to do. But the truth of the matter, what we work in, who we work for, the physicians we work for, the hospitals we work for, their main agenda is to make a profit. And that's the truth of the matter. I don't care how you slice it, how you dice it. It's all about profit and making money. Now, the bottom line is we have to live. Okay, I get that. But it's truly about making money. Healthcare is not a primary focus in healthcare. So I think that's something that was eye-opening to me. And I probably only just learned that probably about 10 years ago. So I've been a nurse for 17 years, probably 7 years into the game is when I realized, oh, our focus is not really on taking care of the patients. Our focus is on the money that we're going to generate. And if you don't believe that, then think about the haves and the have-nots. Think about who has adequate health care and who does not, and think about why. Because if it was about universal health care for all, and it was about everybody getting health care, we wouldn't have so many indigent people getting not getting care that they need. We wouldn't have so many health disparities when it comes to care for our minority population and those marginalized patients. We wouldn't have those kind of disparities. I'm not saying you wouldn't have any. I'm just saying you wouldn't have as much as we do now. And consider the United States. I'm only speaking to the United States. Considering the United States is not a third world country, our healthcare results look like a third world country. That is sad. All right. Number two, many nurses are not supportive of new nurses. And this is something that I actually learned that in nursing school. That when we would get to the floor as, student nurses, and the staff nurses would just kind of run away or just huff and puff and sigh. And even to this day today, I have that same issue where nurses will huff and puff and sigh when I bring my students on the floor. So I don't know why we're not supporting of new nurses when we all started off in the same place. I really take issue with that, but it is what it is. So just know, if you're a new nurse, you're not going to have the support that you think you're supposed to have, at least from a lot of different people. You will find a few people who is going to root for you, who's going to help you. Not even your preceptors. Some of your preceptors may not be the greatest preceptors, because guess what? They don't want to do the job. They don't want to precept you. They're only doing it because of the fact that they're required to do it, not because they say, pick me, pick me. That's not always how it works. Sometimes they're required to precept new nurses. So be mindful of that. Number three, the politics in nursing. So I wish someone had told me about what the politics truly are in nursing. So, like, for instance, an example would be how management functions. Management gets bonuses for basically, I actually have this in here somewhere. Maybe this is where it's at. Management gets bonuses for keeping the unit within budget. But keeping the unit within its budget also means that they're not going to be adequately staffed all the time. It also means they're going to cut corners. It also means they're going to do things to make sure that budget stays in balance. And you have to kind of know what that is when you see it. Another example of politics in nursing is the ratios. It kind of goes back to the management thing, but the ratios, the staff ratios are what they are because of the fact that you have 1 to 6, 1 to 7 patients, depending on your acuity of your unit. But even with that being said, they will have no problem having you go to 8, 9 patients. And as long as you continue to allow that, they will continue to do that to you. So be mindful of that. That's the politics. Also, what I call politics is when you have CEOs, CNOs, or people making these decisions for nurses who are not nurses, or people who at the top who will say, oh, we think that you all should do hourly rounding every hour on the hour, and then this, that, and the other, but that you have 7 patients and you're doing assessments, intervention, passive meds, vital signs, water pictures, and whatever else, incident reports, and charting. So how is it truly possible to do something like that when it's just not possible unless you only have 2 or 3 patients? And even then, it just depends on the acuity of the patients to determine if that's actually good or not. So my point is, they make policies and put policies in place that may or may not be conducive to what the nurses actually can or cannot do. And then it doesn't work, and they're like wondering, why does this not work? Because it's the politics. That's why it doesn't work. You are wanting somebody from upper management, from administration, have said to do X, Y, and Z. You tell your nurse managers to do X, Y, and Z, and then they tell you and it doesn't work. I'm like, I don't understand why it doesn't work. Or here's another one. When I was working bedside, we had to clock out by a certain point in time. And we had to clock out by 7:08, basically. And if you didn't clock out by 7:08, you were, unless you had a reason, you were wrote up. Okay. Or no, not 7:08. 7:08 was the earliest you could clock out. 7:20, I want to say, because our clock out time was supposed to be 7:15. If you didn't clock out by 7:20 or by a certain time, you got wrote up unless you had a valid reason. But if that same valid reason, because you're doing bedside report for 24 patients, took you over your time, then that was an issue. They want you to still stop and go past medications when your patients said they need pain medications. They want you to still do bedside reporting, check IVs, check dressings together with the handoff nurse, clear your PCAs, do all this with the other nurse, but yet you want me to clock out on time. That doesn't make sense. And if I don't, you're going to write me up. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. That's politics. That all has to do with the budget. Because keep in mind, back going to bonuses and stuff like that, when it comes to your budget, when you have 2 sets of nurses, you're paying 2 sets of nurses that overlapping time for day shift and night shift. So keep that in mind. So if one group of nurses exceeds their time, they're going into the budget. That's an issue. You have 2 sets of nurses, day shift and night shift, depending on whether it's day or night, who are both clocked in at the same time. So you're paying, let's just say your floor has 3 nurses per shift. on your floor. Well, if you have 3 nurses coming in to replace you, you have 6 nurses you're paying for that whole time period, that hour and a half that you are doing reports and clocking in and doing different things. So they're wanting to get the other shift off the clock as soon as possible because it dips into their budget. So, with that being said, it's politics. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. It's politics. And then you like, do you mind telling me as to why you clocked out so late? Well, because I had to do all the things that I just said I had to do. Well, why is this happening every single shift that you work? Because we always have 24 patients every single shift that I work. It's that kind of thing, but you're being reprimanded for something that you can't help. Politics. I can't stand it. Number 4, we are considered to be the most trusted profession. Nursing is considered to be the most trusting profession, I believe, 19 years in a row. But we're treated very poorly by lay people, by our patients, okay? So we're treated poorly, but we're the most trusted profession. Make it make sense. Do you, when you trust somebody, do you treat them bad? I don't know. Make it make sense. I'm gonna leave that one for you all. So most trusted profession, but we are treated poorly by our patients a lot of times. Not always, but by our patients sometimes. Number 5. I don't think I was really prepared for what nurses really do. If someone could have told me that we have to think as much as we have to think, that we have to figure things out for 5 or 6, 7 people at a time, as well as ourselves, I don't know if I would have been prepared to do what I'm here to do. Now, 17 years into the game, I got it. I understand it. But I don't think at that point in time I was ready for all that. I honestly thought at that point in time that nurses basically, this is before I became a nurse, because I always saw nurses sitting down. Okay, I see why they're sitting down. So I'm not speaking negative about them, but I'm just saying I always would see them sitting down. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess all they have to do is when the doctor say go pull a catheter, let me go pull that catheter, document it, sit back down again. So basically, I was thinking that we were just they list a whole lot of tasks for us to do and just kind of babysit the patient. That's kind of what I thought. I wasn't envisioning the critical thinking aspect. I wasn't envisioning the having to figure things out, call doctors all day. I hadn't figured that part out yet. So I think that I wish someone had explained to me what nurses really do. I really feel like we in nursing programs even need a boot camp of sorts to even explain to nursing students what the program is really like and what the actual career field is really like. I don't think that we do a good job with that in terms of preparing nurses. And I don't mean preparing nurses, I mean on the front end, explaining what they're about to get themselves into, like a boot camp for nursing or pre-nursing students. Like, come to this week-long camp or 2-day camp and we will talk to you all things nursing, what the program is like, what the profession is like, so you can make a decision very early on if you think this is something you want to do or not. I wish they had did something like that. Number six of the things that I wish I had knew before I became a nurse, which somebody had advised me on, is how jealous other nurses can be. And keep in mind that the profession is a female-dominated profession, so it makes sense, okay? But I just don't think I realized that because of their jealousy of either age or either skin color or education even, that we would have so many issues. And I just don't think I knew it would be that way. I thought that it was a welcoming profession. For the truth, I thought the doctors were caring, and I have my doctorate now, and there's doctors who won't even talk to me because I have my doctorate, which, okay, I do, my doctorate is in nursing practice. You are a medical physician. Our scopes are so different. Why are you even upset with me about that? But yeah, they don't like that. They think they own the title of doctor, which they don't. And we have those issues. I've had those issues before too. Number 7, this actually came up on my TikTok. Someone made a comment on TikTok saying that they actually prefer older nurses because they have more experience. This is something that I actually thought when I was before pre-nursing. I actually thought this myself, that experienced nurses were older. Not necessarily, because I'm a nurse educator at this point. I know the kind of students that I get in. Keep in mind, not only you can't go by how somebody looks, because I look young myself, and you have other nurses who look young, but they may have 10 years into the game. So you can't go by looks alone, because some of us don't look how old we are. But you cannot also assume that somebody who is older, that they, you can't assume because they're older that they have more experience, because that's just false. It's just false. I have students who are second career students or people, that they've been doing the military for the past 20 something years. They've been a teacher, engineer, they've doing some other type of profession for the past 20 something years, and they've decided to make a career change. And so they may be in their 40s or even 50s when they make this career change. And so therefore, for you to think that because they're 50 years old, they have more experience, no, they could have just graduated last week, okay? And you would never know. So you cannot go by somebody's face. And this is somebody that I'm someone who thought that myself before I became a nurse. Oh, she's older, so she must have been doing this for a while. Everybody doesn't start nursing and they're at 18, 19, 20 years old. I didn't become a nurse until I was 26 years old because I'm a second degree holder at that point in time. It was my second degree. Also, keep in mind, some people may not be second career people, but they also may be people who have been taking care of their children. They've been raising their children for the past 18, 20 years. And now that their children are grown, they're wanting to do something for themselves. And here they are in nursing school later in life. Again, nothing wrong with either of the scenarios. I just wanted to point out that just because you're older does not mean that you have more experience than the younger nurses. So that's something that was a myth that I thought was true that I really realized it was not. Number 8, management would forget that management forgets that they're actual nurses. I wish that I knew that when you become a manager of some sort, and this is not always, because there's some pretty good manager out there, but I'm giving you my experience and my experience only. So I'm not, don't come from me saying, well, I've had great managers. Well, that is your experience, but that's not mine. And so with that being said, I find that I wish that I had known that for some managers, that once they become manager, that they forget that they were actually fundamentally a registered nurse. I'm like, how'd you forget that? So, and I say that in the sense that means that a lot of your managers do not come out and help you when you need help on the floor. They dork their little 8 to 4, 7 to 3:30, whatever happens to be, and they go into the house. You can't call them after hours. They don't help with nothing. I've met managers like that, but I've also met managers who I've only met like 2 in 17 years. I've only met 2 who actually will come to the floor and help take care of patients on the floor in 17 years. And I've been through some nurse managers before at different facilities even. So 17 years. I've also met the ones who will lie to you. So you go in for an interview. This happened to me where she told me that they do couplet care, which was fine. That wasn't the issue. The issue, she said, is sometimes we take 4 couplets. Sometimes you'll have to take 4 couplets. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's not a problem. I could take 4 couplets every so often. She said, yeah, it won't happen often. How about when I get the job, we have 4 couplets all the time? It was more of a norm than an exception. And that part I didn't really appreciate because I felt like I was being lied to. And so they forget, okay, you don't try to bait me in here. You should have told me up front that we do have on more majority of the time. And I could have respected her for that. Took the job if I wanted to take the job, but I could have respected her for that by telling me the truth. And I think that was the issue for me, is that they are not supportive of their staff. And a lot of times they make rules that they don't apply to everybody. And I don't like that. They have favoritism. I don't like that. I wish I had have known that and been prepared for it. Now, would all these things that I'm telling you today necessarily would have deterred me from nursing? No, not necessarily. But at least I'm someone who likes to be prepared for everything. I like to know what I'm getting myself into. I want to be mentally ready, is what I'm trying to say. And so when you say nurse managers may or may not be helpful, okay, I know that. So when I go ask a question to a nurse manager, if they don't help me, I'm not put off by it. I'm like, you know what? Somebody already told me that. So hopefully this video will help in that sense. And if you don't have these experiences, that is great. These are my experiences only. Number 9, other nurses are not helpful. Meaning that they will leave work undone. They're very selfish. Meaning that, like, I'll come in and you didn't take the dressing off because you claim you didn't have time. Okay, but you're sitting here talking to me right now, so you got time right now. So go take the dressing off that you're supposed to take off 4 hours ago. See, you don't leave work for me to do. I don't appreciate that. If I come in and see you sitting down ready for to go and you still have work undone, you have time to do the work. So no, I don't appreciate that. I don't like lazy nurses at all. That's a problem to me. But I really thought that it was truly continuity of care, that once one shift ended, we literally just pick off where they left off and keep it going. And for some facilities, it does work that way. You have to find a team that is good for you, a team of nurses that is good for you. Do not get caught up in the fact that this hospital is around the corner from your house. Because if you go to this hospital around the corner from your house and you're miserable there, but there's another hospital that's 30 minutes away that will welcome you, you should need to go to the hospital that's 30 minutes away. Don't get caught up on that. I traveled an hour and 15 minutes to my hospital when I had hospital that was 20 minutes down the street. Because sometimes it's not even about the fact of how proximity it is. You may have to do things because of your children or whatever, and I understand that. But in terms of just convenience, just for the sake of convenience, because it's close to your house, you will burn out so quick when you're dealing with people who you don't really care for or they don't really work with you. But if you find a group of nurses who you all work really well together, you learn each other's learn each other's quirks and idiosyncrasies, then you tend to have a good team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And so, for instance, one of the quirks that I would have, or that I have, is that I don't like playing musical chairs. Like, okay, everybody find your space and you stay there the entire shift. I cannot stand when people want to, I want to be able to come back and sit down at my spot. I don't have to move my stuff all shift long. So when I worked, they knew I'll go in and I'll say, okay, where's everybody sitting? I didn't care where I sat. I'm just saying that wherever I sat, that's where I'm gonna be the whole shift. I'm not saying that if you had to chart something real quick because the doctor's in your seat, I don't care about that. But what we're not going to do after wipe my little station down, what we're not going to do is play musical chairs all shift long and we're not doing that. So they knew that about me. So they knew when I came in, because they're like, where you want to sit at, Marita? And I'm like, I want to sit over here or whatever. Or I would let them pick where they want to sit, and after I would pick from what's left. I didn't care, again, where I sat. Just don't come in my spot and sitting there with your germs and stuff like that. I wipe my station down for a reason. Don't come over here, sitting here and playing musical chairs. We're not doing that. Number 10. This is the last one. And if you know my channel, if you follow me on TikTok, race is an issue in nursing. So I don't think I was prepared or would have even known about the racism that exists in nursing. I don't think I would have known that. I'm like, why? I did know about it in the world. Mind you, I was 26 years old. I knew it existed in the world, but I didn't know it was this bad in nursing. I didn't know. And I wish somebody had told me that, hey, and honestly, it's not just bad in nursing, it's bad in every profession, but we're speaking of nursing in this video. I just don't think I would have ever known and fathomed that they could be this way. And like, why? Why are we competing for the same job? There's jobs out here for everybody. And why are we out here, I'm not saying competing, but why are we out here not just competing for the same jobs, but why are we out here trying to put other people down because you don't want to do what I want to do? Why are we, and this has nothing to do with racism, but this is number 11. I never would have thought, this is an extra one. I never would have thought that we would play this battle of which nurse works the hardest. I've just never understood that. Like, okay, everybody has hard shifts in their own right. Med-surg is a very hard unit to work. But people think because I work postpartum or mother baby that it's easy. It's peaches and cream. It's far from it. Far from it. Do I have easy days? Yes, I had easy days. But for 9 times out of 10, the hospital I worked at, the acuity was always high. I had high-risk OB patients. I live in Tennessee where we have a high drug population of moms and other things. And so that's just kind of how it was. It was very busy all the time. So people think, oh, postpartum nurses don't do nothing. Come play with us and see how. We had people come play with us from ICU and they left crying, okay? Because they're used to their 2 to 3 patients that are asleep or comatose or something where they on a vent. They ain't talking to them as much. They used to stuff like that. They come down to our floor and have 6, 7 patients apiece. Then they up here trying to keep up with the 6, 7 patients and they're talking to them. They got to walk them. They're not used to that. So again, acuity is different everywhere. I hate when people want to play that game of, oh, well, I'm an ICU nurse. I work harder than ER nurses. Or I do L&D. I work harder than postpartum. No, we all work hard. That's why nursing is the way it is. We all work hard and we all can claim that we work hard. Especially in a hospital setting. So anyway, that is my 11. I'll give you a bonus one. Things that I wish I had known. I wish somebody could have gave me advice to be prepared for. That people do these things, say these things, or require these things of us. And we are just not. I think for me, it would have made me learn things much sooner. I wouldn't be surprised by certain things because of the fact that it wouldn't bother me. Because I'm like, oh, okay, I was told about that. Okay, I was told about that too. Okay, I was told about that too. So hopefully you can use some of these things that if you see these in your practice where you work at, that you're like, you know what? She did say something about that. Okay, I see it now. I'm going to keep it moving. just be mindful of that. That's kind of how it can be sometimes. So anyway, hopefully you found this insightful. Thank you for the person who actually recommended me do this video. And please keep, comment below any other things that you want me to do videos on. I will be happy to. Follow me on IG and follow me on TikTok. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I addressed it at the end of the video. I did get my hair cut. This is my natural hair. However, the wigs are not going away. I'm just doing this for the summer. Once school starts back, I will do a combination of things. So you'll see different hairstyles. I'm actually thinking about getting passion twist, which has nothing to do with this video. But anyway, just for the top part and keep the bottom, the sides and back shaved. But we will see. Anyway, hopefully you've thumbed this video up. Comment, like, share. Definitely subscribe if you have not already. Stay tuned for my live. I go live every single week, okay? Like I said before. So until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.